What's up, guys? Pause this for the caution. We're going to do the transmission oil pan change for the 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. You're going to need the Mopar OEM transmission oil pan. You're going to need at least 6 quarts of the 8 and 9 speed ATF fluid from Mopar, and a torque wrench as well, just to make sure you don't break the plastic. But yeah, man, everything that we're using here today that I'm going to be using is going to be in the Amazon links below in the description section. So everything you need will be on Amazon as I purchased myself. So thank you guys for watching, and just keep watching everything, including everything will be on a commentary based recording that I use is going to be on there. So to start off, we're going to take off the cover for it, and this should be very quick. And, you know, once we're there, we're going to use I believe we're going to use a 10mm hex to loosen the drain plug. But just as a heads up, I definitely recommend you guys take off the 8mm hex fill plug, which is right above there. You can see it to the left. So I would first loosen that one up, make sure you can actually open it before you drain the oil out. But like I said, if you want to just go ahead, this is a 10mm hex to remove the drain plug and just take out all the oil. It's going to be messy, so make sure you have a big oil pan, drain pan, whatever you want to call it, and let that run for, I would say, I think I let this drain for about 15 to 20 minutes. That could be overkill, but I want to say it was at least 15 to 20 minutes. But yeah, man, let it all drain out. Once it starts trickling like this, you should be able to go ahead and start removing the bolts that hold up the pan. This is a T40 with a 1/4 wrench and an adapter, so you know I can reach those areas that are at the front and the rear of the oil pan, which are hard to get to. Now that I've drained it all out, I cover it up. I put the plug back on just so it doesn't drain all over me. But like I said, you're just gonna pretty much ramp the car up. I put them on some rhinos and just to drain it, and yeah, man, that's pretty much it. So here I am. I already moved all of them. I only left 2 of the bolts on there, and as you can see, I'm using my hand to hold up the actual oil pan so it doesn't just fall on me. I'm removing that last little bolt.
Right.
Now using my hand once again to hold it up, and now with both I'm going to try to pull it off. Remember that the pickup of it is going to be there, so it's going to be, you need to jiggle it and jerk it around back and forth just so it can get loose, like so. And remember, there's going to be some oil left on in the little scoop or the little area, so just try to tilt it so it falls into the drain, the oil drain. You have the oil pan right there. So as you can see, that pickup is on the top right middle corner, you can see right there. But yeah, man, that's pretty much what it looks like. So let's look at the old one on the left, which is the original one, 2014, when I got it. Those are the magnets. So 4 of them. It looks like it's doing its job because I can see a little bit of metal even through the video. It definitely needed it. And keep in mind, I had already done a drain and refill on it before I actually changed the oil pan, so it definitely needed a new filter. But yeah, I mean, overall it looks the same, both of them for the most part. The only difference I see, like I said, is the drain plug on there. That's the only thing it doesn't have on the newer one, which is weird. But there you go, clean oil filter, old one, you can see. And yeah, that's pretty much it, but it's all the same. You could technically get like a doorman version, but I've heard people complaining that it leaks and it's not the same. So you're better off just getting a Mopar factory one. As you can see, look at the metal, the magnet's doing its job. I don't know why it bubbled up like that. That's the only thing that threw me off. But it could just be the magnet coating or whatever they used for it. But yeah, so all right, so now let's get to it and start prepping the surface. So we need to clean it with some brake cleaner. I'm putting it on the actual towel so I can get this cleaned up really well. You're not going to spray the brake cleaner on there. You could mess things up. Just spray it on the towel, clean up the edges. You want to make sure the surface is clean before we mount the new one up. And over here, the oil pan only came with the oil pan and the gasket itself. It did not come with bolts, so I had to reuse the old ones. I just cleaned them up with brake cleaner and just make sure they were good. And yeah, so here it is. As you can see, the surface is super clean now. So we can start off by putting the transmission oil pan on, and you know, just being careful. Make sure the gasket doesn't come off of doesn't align from the actual transmission oil pan. And yeah, man, just make sure you do it carefully and slowly. And don't forget about the oil pickup. You're gonna lubricate that ring. So you're gonna push up right there. You just saw that. I tapped it again. Seems like it's aligned now. I'm gonna use just maybe a couple bolts and hold it up. But again, I am using the torque T40 to just hand tighten it as much as I can all around. I'm just doing hand tight all the way as much as my finger can go through it. Tapping it all over just to make sure there's nothing loose, or it's not loose where there's a gap. So I'm just going over it again and just making sure it's all snug with my finger. So once I'm done doing this with the finger, I'll typically I'll grab the wrench, the 1/4 socket, and the T40 again, and just tighten it again until I feel resistance. Now I don't tighten it past the resistance. I just go as much as I feel it slow down or stop. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, again, you want to get it as snug as possible. You're just going to get it snug, nothing over tighten it. As soon as it gets snug, just stop. The reason being is it does have a specific torque. I believe it's 10 nanometers, 8 nanometers, but we'll see about right now.
So to tighten these up, we're going to do $10 Newton meters. 10.
Alright, so I messed up on the sequence, but it's okay, it's only one. So you're supposed to go do a start pattern more or less as you guys saw in the picture. And you're going to end up doing that just so you get a even distribution once you start torquing it down all over. After I did that one up crossover, I started doing it the correct way. So look at the picture as an example of how to do the start sequence, just to make sure everything is spread out evenly. Just to give you guys a heads up, once you get to the ones in the front or the rear of the car that you just can't reach with the actual torque wrench, I strongly suggest that what I did was pretty much I looked at how many turns I did with the torque wrench, and I pretty much did that what I thought would be the 10 nanometers with the little wrench that would fit in those little spots. So okay, I'm starting to remove the fill plug, but I forgot to mention this earlier and I did not record it, but the car must be perfectly level before you start putting transmission oil in there. The car must be leveled. So the front of the car, I have it on Rhino ramps, and the rear I leveled it out with the jack on the differential, but again, use a leveler to make sure it's perfectly leveled before you start pumping oil in the transmission, or else you're not going to do it right and you won't fill it in properly. Again, you're going to need 6 quarts minimum of the 8 and 9-speed ATF from Mopar. Everything that I'm using is going to be in the Amazon links below in the description. Again, make sure it's leveled before you start pumping oil, or else it would not be the proper oil. Just to give you guys a heads up, you will be pumping forever. Your hand will probably get a cramp like mine did. And I'm sorry for me blocking it right now, but I was more worried about filling it up rather than getting the best video possible. So yeah, using the pump, you're gonna just fill it in until it starts oozing out, and you know, that's when you're gonna see where you're gonna be at. And remember, guys, you're gonna be doing lots and lots of pumping. So I believe the first time around, you're gonna do about 2.5-3 quarts. It will stop somewhere. So again, like I mentioned, I didn't film this part, but you're pretty much just gonna turn on the car for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and after it stops draining with 2.5 quarts, and then you're gonna turn off the car right away. You're gonna go back down, fill it up again, which would be another like probably half a quart. And then once you're at three, in my experience in the one I did, once I got up to about 3 quarts, it kept oozing out. At that point, I had to go through the sequence through the transmission, and you have to go through the sequence again just so you can get the oil up into the torque converter, into the gears, and then you're able to fill up the remaining 2 or 3 quarts, depending however much your car takes. Some people report 4.5 total, some report 6. When I did a drain and refill, it was 4.5, but when I actually changed the oil pan like I'm filming in this video, it took about 5 3/4, almost 6 quarts. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, so, and then I thought I would show you guys this real quick, because I did this all by myself. I had no help. So here I am trying to be careful and not make a mess, because my landlord warned me to not make a mess. So I'm trying to like pretty much fill the plug up again with the hose, while at the same time removing it from the empty quart bottle and switching it over to the new one. And you'll see me here being very careful, but I thought it was worth showing in the video just in case you guys come up to this issue. If you have other devices that you could put all 5 or 6 quarts, that's great, but I didn't have that option. I had to buy this about $10 to $12 part, maybe it was $7, this little pump. But yeah, pretty much you're going to treat the refill like a differential. The only difference is that once it's full, you're going to do the transmission sequence of turning it on and running it through the gear so it can fill up the transmission up, and then you'll fill it up the rest of the way. So just thought it was worth just putting this one in video, seeing how much of a process it is. So hopefully this does help somebody out in case they're going to go through this. This is definitely the cheaper route for doing this, but for me it worked great, and I hope it'll work for you. So again, start another 1,000 pumps. I'm exaggerating, I don't know how many pumps it was, but it was so many, so figured I'd just leave it in here to show you guys how it is. And here I am again holding it, and keep in mind I'm touching the exhaust a little bit, but keep in mind I did this in the morning when the car was cold, and I'm not worried about burning myself right now. But yeah, so here it is. I think I'm at 2.5-3 quarts already, and there you go, starts dripping a little bit, but you'll get that as you're pumping. But sometimes it's a false alarm, maybe you just edged it out a little bit, the hose came out a little bit. But in this one I pumped it again, took it out, and once I took it out, it kept dripping out. So that means that it's time to plug it up. And keep in mind, I didn't catch this on video because the battery died and I had to wait for it to charge again. And here I am just removing it, plugging it back up. Again, I turned on the car for about 5 or 10 seconds and turned it off again, and I refilled it right now, which is the full 3 quarts. And more or less 3 quarts, so it might be different for you, but just remember, once you start dripping out like that, turn on the car for 5 seconds, go back down, refill it again, and once it drips out again, then you're going to start the sequence of starting the transmission and going through the gears. So here I am just finger tightening it real quick, and just going through it, and making sure, just finger tight before you go up and turn on the car. So here I am turning on the car. I'm going to go through the transmission sequence now. Keep in mind, I need to do this transmission sequence so I could fill it up the rest of the way. Alright, now we're going to turn on the car before we fill it up the rest of the way. I'm going to leave it in park. Make sure it's 86 to 122 Fahrenheit to fill up. And what you're going to do is you're going to rev it up for about 2,000 RPM for 30 seconds. 20 to 30 seconds. And this is just to fill the torque converter, I should say. Then we're gonna go through all of them. So it says here ZF, not Mopar, but ZF, the actual maker of the transmission, to hold each gear for about 10 seconds. So, you know, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. And we're just gonna keep doing that. And I'm just gonna skip ahead so I don't, well, I'll just keep doing it. And then same thing, then you go to drive, right? So I'm literally just looking at the recorder on the camera to time it. So if I'm not counting a lot, it's because I'm looking at the recorder. More or less 10 seconds. And then once you're in D, remember that you are, I forgot to mention, you need to make sure you put traction control off. Make sure it pops up before you start shifting through gears. And I still have the brake on. So all I'm doing is shifting to D1, right? And then, which technically that was already where I was at. I'm going to D2, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. All right. So now after that's done, we're going to go back to park while it's idling and make sure it doesn't go above 122 Fahrenheit. Remember, now that the car's on, you're going to leave it on park, and you're going to go down there, reopen the plug, and fill it up the rest of the way. Remember, I got, in my opinion, this is all me, I got 3 of them in, 3 quarts, and I filled it up with another 2 3/4 afterwards. Again, I only showed you this sequence because I wasn't able to film the whole thing towards the end because the battery died and I just couldn't do it towards the end. But pretty much, you're going to leave the car on, fill it up the rest of the way till it starts dripping out again, like in the video that I'm showing you right now. And then once that's done, plug it up. At this point, you should have about 5.5 to almost 6 quarts in there. And again, make sure you fill it up between that time period. But plug it up, tighten it up. After that, you should be good to go. Again, everything that I use in this video is going to be in the Amazon links below in the description. It does help me out, so I can keep making videos like this. And hopefully this helps somebody out. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.